unfettered or unregulated capitalism is about societies that cannibalize themselves. When capitalism is the dominant ideology, and as Marx understood, it's a revolutionary ideology. It turns everything into a commodity, including human beings, and of course natural resources, and it exploits these commodities until they are exhausted and they are destroyed. And that's precisely what has happened. We have allowed all of the restraints, which were never heavy enough on the capitalist system, to be lifted, and built into capitalism is a self-destructive quality, a form of self-annihilation, and that is what we are undergoing at this moment. It's a form of collective suicide in a way, because the ramifications of this economic collapse are going to be played out far beyond the economic sphere. It's going to deeply disrupt the social, cultural, as well as the economic life of ordinary Americans.
And yet they're trying to fix the problem with capitalism.
Yes, well, that, of course, is what's so tragic. They're trying to sustain an unsustainable system.
In terms of at least the Western industrialized countries, we seem to be alone in this behavior. Why is that? What is it about us?
I think it comes from being an imperial power. Imperialism is a disease, and all imperial societies end, finally, as we end. That the tyranny they impose on others, they finally impose on themselves. I mean, that's what Thucydides wrote, that the tyranny Athens imposed on others, it finally imposed on itself. The people who run imperial politics, and imperial politics by its nature is based on exploitation and violence, insinuate themselves into domestic politics. We may not like the war in Iraq, but we must never forget that for many corporations, this war is a really good business. The war is a good thing in their eyes. Lockheed Martin, Halliburton, Raytheon, they make a lot of money off of this war. And I think that there's not a disconnect between what's happening on the streets of Baghdad and what's happening in Flint, Michigan.
There is a violence to all this, isn't there?
Yeah.
I don't mean just the violence of shooting somebody with a gun, but
that's right.
The economic system has sort of created this, it seems, this cruelty. I've wondered for a long time if a country that was founded on genocide and then built on the backs of slaves is ultimately a country that either, if it doesn't redeem itself in some way for that behavior, just won't last.
Well, I think it's dying. We are in the throes of a giddy intoxication with illusion. That's what happens when societies die. The worse it gets, the more disconnected they often become. And that's how you end up with demagogues and tyrants who promise magic.
I think people are starting to get a real sense that an avalanche has come down the mountain.
Right.
And people are confused. First of all, they don't understand it.
Yeah.
They don't, at its core, they don't understand what's going on.
We've allowed the elite to corrupt our values, and we don't have values anymore. We don't have ideals. Ideals can never be achieved. Ideals are like stars that guide you and that throughout your life, and they set standards. And we don't you know, we've bought into this celebrity culture. It's all about presentation. The American dream was always a myth, but the possibility of advancement in America was real. And dreams were something that you attained or you sought to attain, you strove towards. Illusions are different. Illusions you live within. And I think we are a society that's lost the capacity to dream and lives in a vast illusion.